What is going on, everybody? It is another beautiful day here in sunny South Carolina. So I wanted to take some time today and talk about my my TaoTao Tbr7. So let's get into it. Harley. I knew I didn't really want a street bike, so I was kind of looking at like naked sport bikes. I was kind of looking at dual sports. You know, I was kind of all around. I really wanted something that I could load my BMX bike on the back of and really have some fun. So, you know, I kind of settled on a dual sport. And of course, I started out by looking at the Hondas and Yamahas and this and that, because back in my younger days, I spent a lot of time on a Yamaha. I'm a big fan of Yamaha. So I didn't want to shed out that amount of money because I knew it was just something I was hitting some back roads and having some fun. So looked around. I was going to get a used one, looking, couldn't really decide. So I ran across a YouTube video on the Hawk, and I was like, you know what, man? I think that's me. I think I'm going to get a Hawk. Had good reviews. You know, price point obviously is very attractive. So I was actually going to order the DLX. I wanted a fuel injection bike. I didn't really want to deal with a carburetor because I'm no mechanic. I actually found a used one that was already, you know, assembled and all that good jazz, and the guy sold it before I could get to it. I ran across the Tbr7s. I was going to order a brand new one straight from Amazon. Luckily, the day before I did, found a guy that had one brand new with 20 miles on it, fully assembled, all the engine mods, exhaust, carburetor, CDI, you name it, he had done it. And I was like, that's it, man. I wanted a white one, that's mine. Went up there the next day, picked it up, and here she is. I upgraded to the digital speedometer here. I've got 819 miles on this. I had about 1,500 on the stock speedometer. I think it reads in kilometers, so I did the math and put it in miles. So I'm around 2,300 miles. This thing is freaking awesome, man. I love this thing. I mean, I absolutely love it. It's so much fun. It couldn't have been a better setup for what I was looking for. This is her. I love this thing, man. I put Pro Taper bars on it, put the digital speedometer. I changed my gearing. I'm running a 17 front and a 43 in the back because I stay on the roads. I don't need all that torque. I wanted more cruising speed. This is literally the most perfect setup for me. As you can see right now, I'm at 55. My speedometer is really accurate. It's only like a mile or two off. I'm only at about half throttle here. You know, at 57, 58. I mean, I'm cruising perfect. Great gearing. You know, if you're not on the road, 1743 is probably not for you. But if you are, I would suggest this setup. It's great. So I got the Pro Taper bars. I changed the hand guards because those stock ones to me were fugly as hell. I did most everything I've done to this bike since I've had it is cosmetic. I shaved that front fender way down because that other front fender looks like a weird big ass toenail or something. Not a fan. Those shock boots, super ugly on the front forks. I cut those babies off. I put little small seal savers on, painted the bottom part of the fork with vinyl paint black. Looks amazing. Put the black little spoke skins on it or whatever so the whole wheel is black. It's just all white and black. It looks great. I love it. My Silverado's white and black too, so it kind of matches, which is kind of cool. I like the fact that this has the 19-inch front wheel, not that massive 21. If you're off-roading, if you're in the woods, the 21 is probably for you. Again, that was not my sole purpose in this machine, so that's not what I wanted. That's a beautiful turn signal there, guy. Yeah, I would definitely suggest the upgrade of the speedometer too, because this thing is so much better than that janky little analog thing. And I'm at 2,300 miles on this thing. I've literally done nothing but change the oil. I've done the valve adjustment. I'm probably getting ready to do another valve adjustment on this thing, just because I'm obviously trying to preserve the life the best that I can, and I can kind of hear them ticking pretty good compared to what they were about a month ago. So it's probably about time to do so. But the guy that I bought it from, that was the one thing he had not done, was the valve adjustment. And let me tell you, I'm no mechanic. I YouTubed it. There's a guy that's got all the info. It was very, very simple to do. I got the little feeler gauges, easy peasy. But I can tell you, these things were tight, son. I'm talking about tight. And I actually rode this thing for a while before I ever did that. I don't think it affected anything negatively, but you know, I wanted to do the valve adjustment anyway because everybody says you needed to do it. And even with the gearing change, I still got some giddy up, man. You know, a lot of people are scared they're going to lose all that torque. I mean, I still have plenty of torque. Again, this is not an R1. I knew that before I bought it. If you're buying something to do 140 miles an hour, this ain't for you. If you want to get on the interstate and go on a nice long cruise and be super comfortable and laid back, this is not for you. This thing vibrates a lot, man. I mean, you can feel it. You know that you're on what you've bought. It's very obvious. But at the same sense, it's also very reliable. I've had zero issues with this thing. You know, I don't think a lot of people can say that on certain things that they buy. You know, especially when you kind of go the cheaper route, which is what I did. I mean, this is my riding right here. Back roads, man. I'm on back roads always. I'm always just heading to work, heading back home, or heading to the skate park. And I get so many compliments on this bike, like you just would not believe. You know, with this aftermarket exhaust, man, it sounds really good too. I come from a motocross background. I had a YZ250F. This thing sounds as good as that bike for sure. Yeah, I still have my little turn signal, beep, beep. I kept that thing because, your thing's open. I kept that because, I'm really bad about turning that turn signal off, and so I need it. Ooh, he did, he gone. I want to be very adamant here about the fact that I'm not a mechanic in no way, shape, or form. I don't know anything about mechanic work, but the few things I've had to do on this bike, it was so easy to do. I mean, very, very simple. But another thing about this bike that really attracted me, or the day before I bought this bike, I was like, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen? Okay, the motor goes out, this thing blows up. You can order this motor right now off eBay, I think for 500 bucks flat, free shipping. I mean, you can't really beat that, man. If this thing blows up tomorrow, I'm ordering a motor tomorrow, it's gonna be here in 4 days, I'm popping that baby in, and I'm back on the road, man. That's hard to beat. You know, there are things about this bike that are not amazing. The suspension kind of sucks, man. It's not great. It's very soft. The front end is insanely soft. I changed out the fork fluid. I did the whole change out to try to help get a little better you know, suspension out of it, or I don't want to say suspension, to get a little more stiffness out of it. You know, it worked better than the nasty stock crap that was in there, but it's not amazing, don't get me wrong. It's still a very small touch on the front brake, and you can just feel the front end of this thing dive. You know, so it's got its quirks, but again, I knew that from the beginning. I knew when I bought this bike, I'm spending less than $2 grand. This ain't gonna be a fucking Cadillac, bro. If you've never ridden a motorcycle, you've never really spent much time on two wheels, and you're looking to start out, this is probably somewhere you would want to be at. I mean, I think this thing weighs less than 300 pounds. It's insanely agile, Like, I can just whip around on this thing so freaking easy. So, it's a ton of fun, man. If you're just looking to get something to have some fun, get one of these things. I've read some people online, you know, that have kind of ended up with some lemons, so they get some bad, you know, they get a bad name. But dude, I've known people that bought brand new Chevy trucks for 80 grand, and the freaking transmission falls out in a week. I mean, it happens. This is life, man. These things are mass produced. Shit's gonna happen. That doesn't mean they're all bad. I'm very glad that I didn't get a lemon, because I could understand the frustration of ordering one of these and then just it never being right. But I can't speak about that because that has not happened for me. It's also crazy windy right now, so I'm trying to talk kind of loud. I hope I'm not screaming in your face. What I want to keep in mind on these bikes is the gearing. You don't want to just go like ramming through the gears pinned out on this thing. It could just be mine. I don't know if they're all this way, but mine doesn't like when I go real hard through the gears. Most of the lower gears is fine. It's usually from 4th to 5th. I don't know if all of these bikes are like that, but from 4th to 5th, if I just like crank through that gear, about a second later it kind of weird, and like it almost like it slips that gear for a second. It only does that from 4th to 5th. So I'd be very curious to know if any of you guys have these bikes, if yours does that or if it's just mine. Again, I could care less about that because I don't go ramming through the gears on this thing ever. So it does not affect me at all. So yeah, it's amazing. I love it. If you are in the market for a cheap cruising around motorcycle, if you're in the market for a motorcycle because you want to learn how to ride, or if you're in the market because you just want something to beat the hell out of, here you go, man. TaoTao Tbr7. It's a 250. It's not a Harley Street Glide. It's a TaoTao Tbr7, and it's a freaking ton of fun, man. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. We'll catch you on the next one.